Well, hello, I'm here with Doug to talk about poisoning AIs and other things. And it is October 10, 2025. So, what I thought was the most interesting thing today was a study that showed that AI models can be backdoored with very few malicious documents. And what people have thought is that if you train an AI on a bunch of documents, and some of them are good and some are bad, that if you train a larger AI on more documents, the percentage of poison documents required would stay the same. So it would take more poison documents to poison a bigger AI. And that turns out not to be true. They find that 250 malicious documents are enough to poison AIs of various sizes, and making them bigger does not change that. So you can take an AI with 13 billion parameters, trained on 260 billion tokens, and you only need 250 malicious documents to teach it a bad habit, which in this case was denial of service. After a particular word, it will just produce random gibberish, but they've tried other ones too. So that is very disturbing, and it reinforces something that I saw a few months ago, which I found a good article from LaCara about, which is data poisoning. And the one they tried was they wanted to make a medical AI, and they trained it on high quality medical information, like from medical textbooks. And then they tried adding a little bit of medical disinformation to see how much disinformation it takes to make the AI start giving people bad advice. And the answer is 0.001%. 10 parts per million malicious documents is enough to poison the AI. And this is really bad because, I mean, they train these AIs on the internet. So that a lot of that stuff is garbage. And where are you going to find a large enough database to train your AI that doesn't contain even 10 parts per million of incorrect information? And it makes me think it's kind of like humans. You know, the thing about humans, right, is for Facebook and everything has figured out that the exciting story that sounds really crazy is the one that will go viral and everybody will remember. They won't remember the 100 stories that just say the normal thing. Apparently, AIs are like that.
Yeah,
Just a
yeah,
few exciting false stories will poison their thinking. So that's a bad sign for the future of AI. And there's another one here. A company called Cable is studying the security of agentic AI. You know, agentic AI is all the rage now, where your AI has the ability to go to your browser and make purchases or send emails or do something like that for you. And what they've said is, I was just here at, I'm here in Deadwood at this conference here, Wild West
mm,
Hacking Fest, and the keynote by Jason Haddix was very good. And he said all the experts say we're not going to train these models out of prompt injection. Prompt injection is here to stay, which means that the data that comes from the user is mixed, treated as if it came from the administrator, which is a really serious problem. And they have to put something around it to block it, but that's mostly something incredibly lame, like a keyword filter, a Bayesian filter, which we all know how to get around. Anyway, so he said to have add AI guardrails, he had the best approach is having some sort of controls in place that just limit what the AI can do. You need to hobble the AI. They say you can't trust the AI not to do bad things. So you just have to limit what power they have. Um, so don't give them access to file delete. Don't let them open arbitrary network ports and so on. This is probably the only realistic thing to do. And it just means that these agentic AI tools are going to be a lot less useful than people think they will because you can't trust them. You pretty much need human supervision over them. And in the same spirit,
yeah.
OpenAI and Anthropic cannot get enough insurance to cover their business risk, primarily for copyright infringement. The lawsuit liability is so large, insurers will not cover it. So they're saying they're going to have to use their investment funds to cover these lawsuits when they come in. So, I mean, everybody is betting huge amounts of money on AI as if there's a huge payday at the end, but there are a lot of problems and a lot of worrisome clues that, in fact, there's a lot of trouble coming from the world of AI, not exactly this gigantic payday they're all hoping for. Anyway, that's
Hmm.
all my AI for today. You got any?
AI, not really.
All right.
Uh, Not really.
Well, I
What
got
else you got?
well, I got politics. There's quite a bit of censorship. A lot of states now have age verification laws, and Apple and Google have reluctantly complied with Texas's age verification law, which is so strict that you can't get in the App Store at all without proving your age. And they say you can't even get a weather or sports score app without proving you're an adult first. So Apple is pretty fed up with that, but they're complying because I guess Texas is too big a market to write off. So it
Mm.
sounds like they've kind of gone overboard with the age verification stuff. And Apple has been banning videos that they banned the video that you use to track where ICE agents are, ICE Watch or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
And everything related to it, including one that simply archived videos of ICE abuses for future lawsuits. It didn't have anything to do with tracking them in real time, and all it did was archive, news reports and such. But they banned that too. They just apparently banned the whole category sloppily without considering whether there's any actual risk. And Discord said hackers stole the government IDs of 70,000 users because apparently Discord had to collect driver's license pictures to comply with age verification laws. And then, of course, they got hacked and lost them, which is what the security people have been saying all along. Um, if you make everybody upload these IDs, you just create a whole bunch more repositories of IDs that someone's going to hack into and steal. So, and Cards Against Humanity, this card game that makes a joke out of nasty government activities. They wanted to avoid tariffs because, of course, it's made in China. So they reprinted it as a book, not a card game, where it doesn't contain the rules for the card game and it has explanations of all the jokes. So they regard that as like educational material and therefore not being tariffed. They sort of packaged it and tried to pretend it's not the game, which it is. So anyway, that suits.
So wait, run that one by me again.
If it was a game, they would be subject to tariffs from China, which would be ruinous. So
Ah,
it's not a
got it.
game.
Got it.
It's a book about the game, full of educational information, but not the game. Of course, you could pull out the cards and play the game, but that's not what it's intended for.
I see. I see. So this is a story like Diffie-Hellman, where the key exchange was created in the late 70s,
Yeah.
and it was considered what do they classify that as? Is a national secret or
Yeah, export of munitions, I think they treated it as.
yeah, export of munitions. So they wanted their paper released. They couldn't publish their paper, but they could fax it
Oh,
because that would be an image.
oh, yep, yep, same kind of thing. Yep.
Same kind of deal. So here you got a book, you can rip the cards out of the book,
Yeah.
is what it sounds like, or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. And I was talking to my class yesterday saying that this counts as hacking, right? Legal structure and government structure is a system, and what lawyers do is hacking. Find a way to
Yeah.
exploit this system and get what I want accomplished, sneaking through the rules in an unintended way.
Well, you're not sneaking through the rules, you're using the rules.
That's right. If you understand them, then you
If
exploit
you understand the rules, right,
them. That's hacking.
right.
So it's no different than like understanding computer systems and figuring out how to make them do something that you want that the designers probably did not intend.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what law is all about, right? To a
Well,
certain degree.
I think it's what hacking is all about. Um, no, I think there's all different interests to push the law in different directions. But hacking, that's the whole point of hacking, is achieving an unexpected result within a system that was not intended to do that.
Yeah, yeah. All right.
And
Well, I have one for you.
okay,
You know, CISA,
nice.
right? Cybersecurity Information Security Agency.
Yeah,
It's part of the Department of Homeland Security,
and they've done
right?
fantastic work. I really like their work.
Except, what's the issue?
Well, the issue is that they said they studied election integrity and therefore made Trump very mad at them.
But they're part of the shutdown.
And they're also, yeah, they're even more. They're part of revenge by Trump for daring to say
Yeah,
that he won in 2020.
yeah. So CISA, which has some laws, key laws that helps federal government guard against cyber threats to U.S. critical systems,
Yeah.
has expired.
See, what is expired?
So there's the key law that helps federal government
The law.
guard against cyber threats
Right.
to U.S. critical systems. The law has expired, and Congress has to renew it periodically, and they can't renew it, so it's expired.
So that's cut the funding for that process or what?
Well, it's not, the funding didn't get cut, but they can't vote to to extend it.
Right. I heard some, yeah. The other thing I heard is a whole bunch of the CISA cybersecurity people are being reassigned to immigration, taken away from
That,
security
yeah,
responsibilities, which is seen as just a cover for firing them. I mean, you transfer them to something they really don't want to do and say otherwise you're fired.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. Again, that's hacking.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that I think is just pressure from that's authority figures shoving you around. They don't need to hack for that. They have actual power.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, do you want to call it manipulation, hacking,
I just call it over
authority?
above. I mean, that's just brute force, shoving people
It's
around who have the
business.
power to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway, I think it's kind of funny that that's a side consequence of what's going on there.
yeah, yeah. Well, so Katie Porter wanted to run for California governor. She's a well-known Democrat, famous for taking a whiteboard in Congress and giving corporate people hell with diagrams she draws on her whiteboard, but seems to have destroyed her campaign. She was being interviewed by somebody and tried storming out of the interview with a CBS News reporter. And they made a video of her like being bad tempered and getting mad and storming out. And then they serviced another one of her berating a staffer in 2021. So people are pretty mad at her, saying she just seems to be bad tempered and rude and insulting people, which apparently is very bad politically. So there's a lot of other candidates for governor. So she was the front runner, but she seems to be destroying her. In fact, one of her opponents just paid for 3-minute commercials on TV, which is not cheap. And all he did was play the video of her storming out of an interview. So, anyway, that looks like the end of her. And California has a Consumer Privacy Act, and they had the first punishment of someone for violating it. Some group,
Really?
Tractor Supply, which pushes like the rural lifestyle or something, has been um, fined more than $1 million for failing to maintain a privacy policy, failing to notify job applicants of their privacy rights, failing to provide consumers with an effective mechanism to opt out of the selling of their data, and so on, and disclosing private information to other companies without entering into contracts to contain privacy protection. So that may be something, although I don't know how much $1 million really is, but you know,
Hmm.
the California Consumer Privacy Act will have some teeth because, until people actually start getting fined, nobody much pays attention. And
And what did they get fined for?
failing to protect the privacy of California consumers, which they're required to by the CCPA.
And what exactly though did
You're,
they
you're
not
supposed to
do?
you're supposed to make it easy for customers to opt out of sharing their data.
Ah, I see,
You're
I
supposed
see.
to notify them if you share the data with a third company and so on,
Huh,
which apparently
I see.
everybody's doing. I mean, and apparently you get a lot of money reselling and reselling your data.
Yeah, got it, got it,
And
got it.
a related one, a bill just got signed by the governor, so I think that makes it law, requiring browsers to set up an easy to find mechanism so Californians can globally opt out of sharing data with a push of one button instead of having to do so repeatedly on every website. So every website pops up a box saying, "Is it okay if we sell your data?" And they say you should just have one setting. Like, remember, there used to be something in the browser. Microsoft implemented it, but Chrome didn't, or something like that. The do not track um, setting in the browser.
Yeah, but as we learned, that didn't really
It didn't. Well,
do.
now the California,
We were lied to.
right, right. Well, California has now passed a law that they must implement something like that. So I can just set it once and I won't have to keep clicking that banner everywhere. We'll see what comes of it.
I see, I
But
see.
before, just like the previous do not track, there's a whole lot of pushback because this is the primary way the internet is funded. If you really end all tracking, then you're going to have to institute like charging me a penny for every website I go to or something. Anyway,
Hmm.
all right. I got a few other government stories. Germany has now decided to allow police to shoot down drones. They're getting mad about drones going everywhere, which everybody is, especially everybody in Europe, with Russia invading everybody with drones. So they have German military drills. They have practiced how a spider, a large military drone, shot a net at a smaller one in mid-flight, entangling its propellers and forcing it to the ground. So they're going to have anti-drone technology. I hear a lot about European anti-drone technology coming. They quite reasonably want to have some way to stop a flight of drones from Russia. And currently, there's not a very good way to do that. So these are, Yeah.
Yeah, is somebody, maybe I misunderstood, but is somebody designing a laser system to do that?
Yeah, I saw that. There's a laser system, and there's this thing that
Yeah.
shoots out nets, and there's like radio interference systems to try to stop them. There's a bunch of techniques being prototyped and developed. But
Yeah, the radio interference has been, well, it's still there. I mean, it's still possible. But to circumvent that, they're using AI,
yeah,
right?
and fiber optics. Yeah,
And make, yeah, or yeah, fiber optics and making it autonomous.
yeah. That's why I think it's
Um,
a huge problem because the fundamental problem is economy. You can make drones really cheap. So you could make 1,000 drones, and even if they stop 90% of them, it doesn't matter. The defender has to somehow stop them all. And if they had to like shoot a missile at each one, that would be prohibitively expensive. So,
so this is kind of like we go back to World War II, the V1, the V2 rockets. And Germany produced, I think, around 10, 12,000 of each. So very large numbers. So let's call that 20,000. And I think out of the 20,000, there were 3,000 of each that successfully um, um, hit their target or got close to hitting their target.
yeah. And I think we're all getting to see this in real time in Ukraine as both sides attack with drones. Remember, right
Yeah,
at the beginning of the war, they sunk the most important Russian ship. The Ukrainians sunk it with a drone. So the drones are a huge part of warfare now.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm kind of laughing, but it's the technology of warfare is just continuing, and now their people aren't involved,
Yeah,
or not directly. Um,
yeah, it's a
you
brave
know,
world.
yeah, yeah. Hmm.
Uh, I
But
think,
yeah, this is something that I recognized early on. If you go back to World War II, it all that World War One was a war of machinery, right? People and machinery. World War II, I think, changed, and that came into a war of technology.
yeah, but
And so,
yeah, but I
and
think it's always been that way. Like if you think about medieval times with the knights in armor and horses, the bow and arrow pretty much messed that up.
yeah, 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 that's true.
Ranged weapons changed the nature of warfare.
Well, and then when guns came out, I know that people were outraged over that. And they
Sure.
said you can't have an average person shooting a gun and killing people. They have to be trained like an archer for a decade.
Yeah, it
And they wanted gun control.
yeah, it's just like the internet. You have every idiot can put up a podcast now instead of having to go through like editors and everything else like CBS does, where only supposedly the very best stuff can run through the gauntlet. Now every idiot can just publish whatever they want to say on the internet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. What else do you have? More political news?
Yeah, there's no more politics we're talking about. I got a couple infosec stories.
All
Um,
right. Well, I got one for you. This is kind of a long one, but we talked about this a little bit ago. Remember AOL?
oh yeah, they you remember getting their CDs in the Sunday newspaper.
Yeah, everybody got their CDs. What a blitz marketing campaign. And AOL is a story of a company that went from nowhere to being, I think, at the time, the most valuable company or the most valuable transaction in acquisitions at the time, and then just completely tanked.
Well, they never expanded beyond dial-up, right? And dial-up went out of style, and so they were as useless as like manufacturing horseshoes, right?
Yeah, but I can't remember why there was a turning point that something that they missed completely in terms of the market. I think it was I think they thought I forgot. I have to look that up. Let me not speculate on that. Anyway, AOL finally ended dial-up service and this month, and surprisingly, AOL still had quite a few customers using only dial-up.
Well, there are a lot of rural people in America that really don't have cable or anything. They probably have to use dial-up.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, they could use Starlink, but that's fairly expensive,
Yeah.
depending on what you're doing. Anyway, AOL ended dial-up, but there's more to the story. So Yahoo, oh, it was the partnership with Yahoo. That was what ended AOL. You had a partnership with Time Warner, and Time Warner was kind of New York suits and business types, right? Very, very stuffy people versus the California crowd. And the two of them just did not mix whatsoever at all. They had different visions of how
Yahoo,
to run the company.
Yahoo was the original tech startup that was a bunch of teenagers that totally ignored all the rules of business and really frustrated people. Didn't really hire professionally, didn't behave professionally on the job, didn't have a financial model that made any sense. Totally ignored all the rules of business.
Yeah. And I think the story goes that AOL, if you could imagine Wall Street, people in three-piece suits
Yeah.
coming together and they have very formal meetings
MBAs.
and
They had there's all this training of how to do it right, and Yahoo was doing everything wrong.
they came in, right? The AOL crowd came in, they were wearing sandals, they wore shorts, they
Yeah.
came in late, they would interrupt meetings and they would scream at people.
Well, I heard about an interview at Yahoo where a guy was interviewing for a position and they were playing ping pong, and he's here, play a round of ping pong. If you win, you're hired. That was the kind of stuff they did.
That was, yeah. Atari was sort of the same way back when.
Yeah.
Anyway, AOL still exists. So Yahoo, right?
Mhm.
Here's a deal to sell AOL to Italy, to a company in Italy. And you think, who would buy that for $1.4 billion?
Wow. I was thinking
Yeah,
you could sell it would be at a low price. Who in the world would pay that kind of money for AOL?
yeah. So it's an Italian company that's called, this is kind of interesting. Never heard of them, called Bending Spoons.
I saw the name in the news, but I didn't know what it was about.
So Bending Spoons, I think the name comes from the Matrix. I'm not sure about
I
that.
know Yuri Geller. Yuri Geller, that was his thing. He claimed to have
Yeah, yeah. Yuri Geller.
yeah.
Right. We could go off on that. Who's Yuri Geller? He was very popular in
In
the
the
70s and
70s.
80s.
Yeah, he claimed to have psychic powers because he could bend spoons with his mind.
And then James Randi and Johnny Carson completely debunked him. I
Yep.
think 60 Minutes debunked him, or James Randi debunked the 60 Minutes. Anyway, he disappeared. And I don't know, 20, 30 years later, he appeared up in Israel and he became very popular. And the spoon bending is back in business. He's making some money off of that. I don't think that Uri Geller has anything to do with this company.
Yep.
They were either, I think they were a Dutch company. They were going to do something with COVID that kind of failed. They got involved in some apps, which has been somewhat successful, but this surprised the heck out of me. Do
Yeah.
you ever use Meetup?
Yeah, I've used it a few times. Meetup is
Yeah, that's bending
AOL.
spoons.
Oh, okay. Well, Meetup is a legitimate product. I don't know how they're going to make money out of AOL, but Meetup is a perfectly fine product.
Yeah, they also have so they've bought a whole series of products. Meetup is one, WeTransfer, which is video app soft and video file transfer. They've got a number of video apps, they're in the app market. They also acquired Evernote, which is another surprise.
I don't know anything about that. Is that like Microsoft's OneNote?
Yeah, Evernote has been around. It's very popular. It's got the elephant as the logo for the app. I'm sure you've seen it or used it.
No, I've seen it.
No?
I've never used it. Some way to make notes to go on the internet, right? Like one.
Yeah, yeah, it's syncing notes
Yeah.
yeah, between devices. So it's kind of like OneNote along with cloud storage, if you
Which is what
will.
OneNote is now, right? It's part of Office 365.
Yeah, well, it always has been.
Yeah.
OneNote has,
Yeah.
but it's a note-taking software. I've used Evernote. I'm not a fan of it, but it's the alternative if you don't want to use the Microsoft products that has
Yeah.
been out there. So when they acquired, this is kind of interesting. When they acquired Evernote, and I'm not sure about Meetup, but they company was founded in Copenhagen, and they've now moved to Italy. And as soon as they buy these companies, they seem to fire everybody.
Well, that's often
And
what people do when they acquire companies. Yeah.
yeah, and so they're moving operations to Italy. Now, it's interesting because why would Bending Spoons buy
Yeah.
AOL,
Yeah.
right? So they're looking at it to generate revenue from advertising and subscriptions, including, I didn't know this. You ever heard of LifeLock?
Yeah.
Yeah.
LifeLock,
So,
these things to try to prevent people from exploiting your information that leaks online. Sort of like Delete Me, right?
yeah, well, delete me is delete, but yeah, LifeLock is supposed to lock your data. And if you remember when LifeLock came on the market about 15 years ago, probably 15, the president said, here's my name. I'm a LifeLock customer. You can't find anything about me.
Oh, and he published a
So,
social security number publicly saying it won't matter because LifeLock will save me.
yeah, yeah. And of course it didn't.
Right. It didn't.
And then he finally sold the company. I forgot who bought it. I thought maybe McAfee purchased it. Anyway, it's now owned by AOL. Um, so they're acquiring that. Let's see, LastPass. I didn't know that. And McAfee.
They're owned by AOL.
Yeah.
Oh, I know they got bought by
So,
Venture Capital Group. I guess somehow went to AOL. Well, that's why they bought AOL because AOL had some properties they owned that were worth something, not the actual
right.
AOL business itself.
Well, interestingly enough, AOL's website still around, just like Yahoo. It's still legacy.
Yeah.
But according, if we believe what is being told, AOL's website traffic has grown by 20%.
Well, something Scott Galloway says is that he made the most money ever in distressed businesses. Like he bought the Yellow Pages. He said a business that is dying can make you a ton of money. You just have to cut costs faster than the revenue is going down, and you'll make money in the last few years of it existing. So it can be a sound investment to buy something that is on its last legs.
Yeah, but then you gotta have some plan for it. Anyway, they own all these companies.
Yeah.
So web traffic has gone up 20% over the past, see, year over year for age group 25 to 54.
Yeah. Well, if I start hearing about AOL again, I'll be interested.
Because remember, AOL is pretty much on the 55 and plus crowd.
Yeah. Yeah. Young people start using AOL, they'll have to offer something.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I guess,
So, that's going to be kind of interesting. Bending spoons. Keep an eye out for them.
yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I was pretty surprised to see this. A company did a serious investigation of mobile VPNs. Many people put VPNs on their phone to make them safer, and they
Ah,
said you're better off not to do it. They tested 800 of them, and they said these things are crap. And I've been doing this for years, studying mobile apps and saying mobile apps in general are pretty much crap. But these ones request dangerous permissions. They try to collect data for monetization, and they do a lot of insecure things like exporting activities and content providers without proper safeguards so other apps on the phone can launch them or query their data. And they make system level calls to things like runtime.exec so they can create command execution vulnerabilities. And they say these things are really badly written, really poorly designed, and probably make you worse off than if you didn't run it. So that's a thing to know.
yeah.
And
Okay.
I got a couple other ones, like YouTube. So the Republicans have complained mightily about YouTube because YouTube banned people like during COVID for medical misinformation and stuff like that. And so
Right.
they told U.S. Rep Jim Jordan, the Republican, that they'll allow creators banned for COVID and election misinformation to rejoin the platform. And apparently, going forward, almost anyone that's been banned can rejoin unless they banned you for copyright infringement, in which case you can't rejoin. But everybody else they banned for any other reason can now get on, which is pretty consistent with the general tech rolling over to the fascist regime in America. They'll all just do anything to please Trump. Nobody has
But
any guts.
Sam, didn't they also pay a settlement?
Yeah, they paid a settlement for banning Trump. That's why this is amazing how gutless American corporations are. They got no principles at all. They don't even have sound financial plans. It's just roll over to everyone in authority.
And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it 20 billion? 20 million, pardon
Million.
me,
It's
20 million?
it's been the
Yeah.
bribes are in the range of 10 to 20 million, which is just a drop in the bucket for them. But it shows a really bad habit of complying in advance, especially with the Trump regime, because Trump is a coward. And every time you push back, he stops. But most people just let him go. He gets power because he just does stuff and people just go along with it because they're all too cowardly to resist.
And where's the money going to?
Uh,
Do you know?
Usually to something like his presidential library, which I think is just a thin cover for going into his pocket. Like he,
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, 22 million. It's a little bit over 20 million. It's closer to 25, it looks like.
yeah,
And 22 million is going to the trust for the National Mall.
yeah, I don't know what.
It's which is the financing in addition to the White House.
Right. Right. And you know,
So,
like the $400 billion jet is going to the library, which is going to
right.
Trump. So he has various things to thinly whitewash. It's just going in his pocket.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what most people get who are on YouTube,
I don't know.
that are creators on YouTube?
Technically, I am, but I don't get anything. Go ahead.
Well, if you're lucky, you get a gold plaque.
Yeah.
Trump gets Trump gets an addition to the White House.
Yeah. Well, apparently you get some money if you have like millions of viewers. You can actually make a living off it. But the small creator,
And you get a gold and you get the plaque.
yeah, yeah. I see them like the big popular podcasts get those plaques and everything.
Yeah.
I'm just a small time user. I appreciate them offering free hosting, and in return, they can get whatever good they get out of publishing these, which I imagine is not much. They probably stick a couple ads in this. I doubt they make much money off us. Anyway,
Yeah.
medical study I thought was interesting. They tested to see if diet soda is bad for you, and apparently it's worse for you than non-diet soda. And so as far as getting a fatty liver, drinking either more than one diet soda a day or non-diet soda will increase your risk of liver disease by 60%. And the diet stuff is worse than the non-diet stuff. So that's interesting.
So there's a doctor at UCSF Med Center
Yeah,
who's retired. He was the one that did 30 years of research on sodas
yeah.
when he was asked about the added sugars of sodas. And his point was when Coca-Cola came out, and I think it was in a 6 ounce bottle, and people would maybe drink one a week. Now people go and they get 64 ounce at
Yeah.
7-Eleven
Yep.
and maybe drink two of those a day.
Sure.
But he was asked about diet soda, and he said, I didn't do any research on it. It needs to be done.
Yeah.
So it looks like we're doing that.
Apparently.
And yeah, interesting. This is anecdotal, but the women that started Hint Water, the bottled water,
Right.
it's called Hint, Hint.
I don't know that one.
She said she was very active all through high school, athletic wise, and she would drink a 6 pack of Diet Coke pretty much every day.
Oh,
Okay. And she thought, boy, no sugar in there, no calories. And it turns out after graduating from high school, she stopped being as athletic, but she still continued to drink a 6 pack of Diet Coke and she started putting on weight. So there aren't 0 calories in it, is the conclusion that I would draw with one
oh,
data point.
well, no, no, no. I mean, I've heard this before. I mean, there are no calories in the stuff, but it does affect your body. And some people say it makes you hungry. I mean, you don't gain weight just by drinking a Coke, but it might have some other effect that causes you to gain weight.
Well, her claim, I mean, that's,
He claims there's calories
again,
in it. Because I think it's true that there's no calories in it.
no, I think there are really calories in it, but I think they can legally say that it has 0 calories.
Yeah.
There's a loophole in there.
Well, I think it just rounds off. So you can be like half a calorie, it rounds down to zero. But I think, yeah, I don't think you gain from the Diet Coke directly. but it does have those artificial sweeteners do have strange effects on your body. Like I know a lot of people get headaches from them and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I didn't know this. Two things kind of interesting. You put Diet Coke and Coke or any diet soda into a bucket of water. Do you know that one floats and the other one sinks?
I did not know that.
Yeah, the diet drinks float because they're lighter, they're more buoyant.
Yeah, the sugar is heavy,
Um,
I think. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And yeah, so kind of interesting on that, huh?
Well, I got one more story, which is Tesla. Tesla's full self-driving has gotten worse at driving. It's doing more accidents and it crosses into incoming traffic and it ignores red lights. So their product seems to have gotten worse with time, which is, you know, the whole thing must keeps finding ways to make it cheaper. So
Yeah,
apparently cheapened it to where it's even more dangerous than it used to be.
yeah. So, Sam, I don't know if we brought this up since you brought up Tesla. Remember, there was in Piedmont, California, there were four college kids in a Tesla Cybertruck that had an accident, and three of them were burned to death in the truck, and one was able to get out. The claim is that they weren't able to open the doors.
I see a lot of articles saying that Tesla's
Yeah.
design features, a lot of people get trapped inside when the power fails. There is like an emergency door release, but it's hard to find. It's like under the carpet or someplace where it's hard to find.
Yeah, I'm not sure in the Cybertruck, but in the Tesla cars, it's where you grab your hand. It's kind of where you put it in to close the door,
Yeah,
but you have to use your fingers, not your thumb, to release it. There's like a little latch there.
yeah,
Anyway, the parents are now suing Tesla, saying it's a safety feature that prevented the kids or one of the kids from getting out. I think the driver and the other one, it was too late for them.
yeah.
And but to contribute to this accident that's kind of being ignored is the driver was doing 80 miles an hour in a residential area that should be, I think, 30, 35.
Yeah,
So that's double, almost triple the speed, not quite.
yeah.
As if that doesn't contribute to it.
It does, but of course,
But
if it was an ordinary gasoline car, they would have been able to get out. It's the
I'm not I'm not sure I'd agree with that because a lot of the new cars, they're doing this the no handles where
oh
you have to push. And the trade-off is it's aerodynamic to get better gas mileage.
yeah, but that wouldn't affect the inside handles. That's just a style decision.
True, but some of the doors in in all cars, you can child-proof them.
Well, that's
So
another
that so if you're on the inside and a child tries to open the door, it
right,
won't open.
right. Well, it would suit if they would pass a law saying the inside handle has to be in the usual place. I'd appreciate that. When I ride Ubers or something, I often can't figure out how to get the door to open. I think people should stop being creative about the door handles. They should put them where you expect them to be. Anyway.
Yeah, well, it's the same thing with the emergency brake when you go
Oh,
or the headlights, the turn signals.
oh yeah.
Every time you get a rental car, there's no standardization.
Yeah, I've had to stop and Google how do I do something with this car?
I have to. All right, I've got a couple more here.
Well, go
How
ahead. I've
about
got
you?
more.
All right, so let's see. One in five Americans, you ready for this? One in five Americans get their news from,
TikTok, I would assume.
yeah, 20%
I
of the
would have thought that
country
was even
gets.
higher. I bet if you take the under 30s, it's more like 60%.
Oh, it's much, much higher.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But now it's 20%.
Yeah.
And there's a deal that's going on with TikTok. I think we're finally kind of coming up with a resolution.
I think Oracle's going to own it. Yeah.
Yeah, Larry Ellison and Son.
Yeah.
And there's some talk about that. I haven't had time to look into that a little bit more,
So
but
I think it'll be like Fox News. It'll be right-wing disinformation, even more than it is.
Yeah, and there's talk about how the advertising money is going to go and who controls the algorithm.
Yeah.
And I think TikTok or ByteDance, China will control the algorithm, and there's going to be a split in the revenue stream.
Yep.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yep.
And then lastly, Microsoft revamps Xbox games. I'm not an Xbox gamer,
Me neither.
and they're doing a 50% hike in the price.
Apparently, Xbox is popular and makes them money.
Yeah, and I looks like there might be getting out of the Xbox gaming hardware
Hmm. Maybe it
platform.
didn't make them enough money then. I don't know.
Well, no, the hardware I don't think is making them the money anymore. I think it's the games and
Yeah.
the subscription. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
They're going to
We'll see how
license
that's
somebody
going.
just to, yeah.
A lot of people are upset over that.
So somebody else is going to make the hardware and have a license or something?
No, 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 because you can play the games. You don't need the Xbox
Oh, just play it on
hardware
PC.
anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Uh,
Remember they bought was it Blizzard?
I
They bought some companies.
So if you don't need the Xbox to play the games, what's the advantage? Was it faster or better or something at one time?
Yeah, it was. It
Okay.
was. So it's interesting. I wonder if the game market, if that, because there was a battle between Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft. There were probably some others out there, but I wonder if they've run their course.
Yeah. I'm not in touch with the business of games. I know it's a real
Yeah.
business and make a lot of money, just like movies. Perfectly
Yes.
legitimate profession, but I'm not involved.
Yeah. And a lot of the games cost more money than movies to produce.
Oh, yeah. And
Yeah.
apparently they make a ton of money. And apparently the graphics are wonderful now. So,
Yeah.
it's-
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. So that's for me this time, this go round.
And that's it for me too. So I guess we'll have another one of these on Tuesday. I'll be back in California by then.
Okay. So did you figure out, are you in North Dakota or South Dakota?
I'm in South Dakota.
South Dakota.
Denver,
Very
South
good.
Dakota. Yep. And it's very much like Las Vegas. Casinos everywhere, booze halls everywhere. They tell me there's a special on TV about the history of this place, but it sure looks to me like the Las Vegas of this region. And so the convention is like the old DEF CON. It's sprawled across little hotels and casinos like all through town, like 10 different places. So you walk from one location to another to find your event.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How many people would you estimate are there? Any idea?
It looks to me like 500 to 1,000 in one of these relatively small regional cons.
So it's kind of small. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, that's it for this one. We'll have another one
Yep.
Tuesday.
Sounds good. We'll see you then. Thanks, Sam.